Okay, so for Wiki 8, it's theories of motivation in effect and then motivation in effect in the classroom. So for my concept, I chose behavioral theories of motivation. Behaviorism itself is the idea that seeking rewards and avoiding punishments is the result of student motivation. Therefore, behavior theorists believe in focusing on reinforcement to increase academic motivation and on punishment to decrease undesired behaviors. I will focus more on the reinforcement portions as it has been proven that punishment is less effective for academic achievement. Teachers should always keep this in mind while teaching a new topic or objective. If students are not learning it as quickly as you anticipated, this theory suggests trying some different strategies that will motivate the student to want to learn the new concept. Increasing motivation is done by rewarding small successes to start and then giving less rewards as the students become more competent in their academics. In my problem, some of my students have a hard time being motivated to do their at-home lecture and completing the assignment. Therefore, in class, they have no idea what is going on, and the peers that have done the at-home lecture are quite ahead and become bored and misbehave when we focus on the objective that others missed for too long. The motivation for the students to complete their at-home lecture is low, and the motivation for the students to focus in class while they have already completed the homework is also low. Behavior theorists believe there are a number of ways to increase motivation in the classroom, including rewards, praise, and feedback as classroom incentives. Informational rewards are more useful than controlling rewards because they increase intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic. Intrinsic motivation derives from a student's behavior that is rewarded by their internal self, while extrinsic motivation derives from a student's behavior that is rewarded by external factors such as money. Informational rewards provide useful feedback to students and increase a desire to learn. Incentive systems can be put in place, like sticker charts or a point system, to reward students who have completed the lecture at home, increasing the motivation of students who normally don't complete the at-home lecture. Another easy way to increase intrinsic motivation is by praise. Praising a student for their hard work increases their autonomy and self-efficacy. They feel as though they have more control of whether they get their work done correctly and feel satisfied when the teacher recognizes that. For students who are not getting the praise, they see that other students are, and it increases their desire to get their work done, so they begin to model that same behavior in order to receive that same praise. The students that are misbehaving in class either get rewarded with computer time or tutor their peers. So it's basically for the students who are misbehaving but are trying to behave. So if they are behaving, they'll get rewarded. That also increases autonomy and self-efficacy. Criticism and feedback are other good options to increase motivation. Although it doesn't seem like it, criticism can have a positive effect on students' motivation. When a student receives criticism for performing below their ability level, it gives students a high ability cue, which means that their teacher believes they can achieve much more, increasing their self-efficacy and need to improve further. Feedback provides information to students about their progress and competency. Performance feedback focuses on giving students feedback on how they compare to other students' performance, and informational feedback focuses on how their performance could have and should be improved. Informational feedback has the highest effectiveness and proven to increase not only motivation but autonomy and self-efficacy. To assess this theory in the classroom, the motivation will have to be measured. That type of assessment would have to be objective, but it can be fairly easy to see. By observing whether or not the students who are not completing that home lecture begin to complete them is one way to assess it. Once the students who are not completing that home lecture start completing it more often, the incentives will decrease and will phase out altogether, hopefully increasing their intrinsic motivation. The students who always completed their lecture at home and misbehaved in class because they were bored would either keep misbehaving or begin to behave more, which is another way to assess their motivation. My question for this theory is whether or not it lasts long enough to make a difference. In the book it says that if intrinsic motivation is increased, then their want to learn increases, but if extrinsic motivation increases, it is merely to be involved in a learning activity as a means to an end. If students are repeatedly only increasing their extrinsic motivation, how can we as teachers combat that and increase students' yearn to learn?